Good morning. My name is Tinny Chung. I am the coordinator of student success at Union County College. This is Rebecca Royal. She is the dean of student success. I'm very excited to be here today. Rebecca, are you excited to be here?
I'm very excited.
We're both really, really excited to be here today because we have the opportunity to share with all of you today in the room some of the really good things that we've been doing at our institution. So today we're going to be talking about our graduation initiative, and it's called Operation Graduation. I can summarize the goal. There are 3 bullet points here, but I can summarize it in one sentence, and it's the same sentence that I use when people ask me what I do for a living. First, I say I'm in higher education. Oh, okay, that's good, Tinny. Yeah, well, what is it that you do? I help students graduate. That's what I say. And they say, that's really cool. And I say, yes, that is really cool. I love my job. I have one of the best jobs at Union County College. I believe in it, and I honestly think that I'm doing the right thing by helping students cross that finish line. And when I believe in it, everything else is easy. I've bought into that message, and I believe in it. My team who's here today, May Cordobawi, Jamie Siegel, Marie Jones.
You guys want to raise your hands?
They're here to support me today. We believe in it. And at Union County College, we call it drinking the Kool-Aid. And I know it sounds weird, but the Kool-Aid's good Kool-Aid. It's non-alcoholic, it's non-psychogenic, it's good, wholesome Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid that we drink is that we believe in the message. We honestly think that we're doing the right thing, that we give students the best chance possible to be successful when they walk out of Union County College with a degree or a certificate. We believe in it. And because we believe in it, our job is very easy. We do the best that we can every day to get them to the finish line. That make sense? Yes, thank you.
Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
But first, we're going to take a step backwards to just look at where we were. So what this slide shows is our historic graduation rates. So starting with 2007, we had a 4.9% graduation rate, and then we went up to 7.7, we had an 8.8%, and then in 2013, we had a 6.8% graduation rate. So we took a look at this, and this is terrible news for us.
We're not proud of this.
No, we're not. But we want to show you this because we want to show you where we were. Okay, so our president, Dr. McMiniman, had a presidential initiative. She said this is not acceptable. These graduation rates are not acceptable for our students, and we need to do something to change this. So in spring of 2014, there was a team that was established, and it was called Graduation Triage, and we were to work with the 2011 cohort. So this was in the last year of the cohort that we started, seriously looking at this cohort. And this team included a lot of different people. It was the advising director we have here today, the assessment director, the financial aid director, key advisors, the special assistant to the president, and a number of other people. And it was probably a group of about 12 to 15 people. And what we did was we met every single morning, and we looked at every single student that we thought could potentially graduate by the end of that summer and be included in our graduation rate.
Does everybody understand the cohort, what first-time, full-time is here? Everyone that started back in 2011, first-time enrollment in college, full-time, 12 credits or more, and they are starting from September of 2011, and their 3-year time frame established by the federal government would have ended 2014 summer, August 31st, just to clarify.
Yeah. Okay. And during that initial phase, what we did was all the students that were still enrolled, we looked at their transcripts. We did a very meticulous transcript evaluation. And we looked to see how many courses they needed to graduate. Could they graduate at that time and we just had missed them and we hadn't graduated them? Was there anything we could do to get them to the finish line? We documented everything we did. We documented the required courses. We collaborated with academic affairs to say, hey, these are the courses these students need to graduate. Is there a way we can offer them this summer? We also conducted full consideration of all the transfer credits. So did any students transfer in some credits that we didn't actually add to their transcript and include in their transcript evaluation?
And because there were so many components to this, we really started working together as a college. So it wasn't just academic advisors. It wasn't just a presidential initiative, so the administrator said you have to figure this out somehow. We worked with instructors, we worked with coordinators, we worked with the division deans. We said this student really needs to graduate. This is their last class. Can we do an override? We've noticed that CIS 100, all of the sections are closed at this time. Is there any way we can run an additional section? And Dr. Lowndes said, yes, we're going to make it happen.
We did things like we evaluated the potential of changing catalog year for a student. Because we were making updates to our curriculum, we would look and say, okay, if they're in the 2011 catalog, these are the program requirements they need to graduate. What if we updated them to 2012? Are they going to be able to graduate under a different catalog year? We provided scholarship assistance for final courses. So students had run out of their financial aid. We then went to our foundation and said, we need some money for these students in order to get to the finish line. And every single interaction, every single thing that we did, we maintained in one single repository. So we would always go back to this repository. It was by student, what their program was. Anytime we had any kind of interaction with that student, we would record it in that one place. And go ahead.
That summer, the result was the highest graduation rate in the past 20 years of Union County College history. So the next stage, we got through the summer, and we finished. Can we go back to that second slide?
Yeah.
So we were at 6.8 in 2013. So for 2014, we went from 6.8 to 10.2. Again, it was the first time we hit double digits in UCC history. So we figured out, you know what we did? It kind of worked. So let's get this rolling. Let's kind of scale it out a little bit. So we went from pilot to a more organized structure. When we first started, we started with 3 academic advisors. We tried one rotating advisor, so we had somebody come in from general advising, kind of work 2 days, and then had another advisor come in, do another 2 days. But we found out that the consistency, the day-to-day, the constant contact with the student was best with a full-time advisor. And again, we were designed to just work with the 2012 cohort. They took us from general advising, they put us in an office, and this is what we did. We worked with the 2012 students, this group, nothing else. We also did the review of academic transcripts for all of the students from the 2012 cohort. So we had, literally, we did hundreds of manual evaluations for each advisor.
And I just want to add before you go on, if anyone has any questions as we're going along, please feel free to raise your hand, because we can answer questions as we want this to kind of be an interactive thing. So yeah.
What was the number of students in that 2012 cohort?
The 2012, was it
2012 was 1746. 1736.
About 1,700, a little over 1,700. Yes.
You said full consideration of transfer credits. Were they transfer credits that were coming in after they started, or were you finding that there were students that were not true first-time full-time?
We're talking about AP credits that may have been overlooked. So students have taken AP courses in high school. They took maybe other summer courses at other institutions. There was also the CLEP exam that came in also as transfer credit. So we took a look at the whole picture. Yes?
So when you went back to your 2011 cohort, they were still attending, or did you do an outreach to see where they met?
Yeah, we did intensive outreach. So if a student needed 6 credits to graduate and they weren't enrolled in summer classes, we were on the phone with them every day.
We called them, we emailed them, we sent a letter home.
Yeah.
We called them, we emailed them.
We did everything except visit their home. And we did talk about doing that, but we didn't do it.
Did your team only deal with this cohort? Did they deal with this cohort as well as the rest of the advising of the general?
We did not.
Exclusively?
Right, we exclusively worked with this group of students. If somebody came in and asked us a question, obviously we helped them. Right. I mean, that's my favorite thing when somebody walks into the office and says, hi, there's a student here, they're asking about graduation. We all stand up, we say, oh, who's next? Who's going to help them? Right, that's our buzzword, graduation. So the next stage is that we completed our thorough evaluations. We sorted the cohort by the total number of credits earned. That was the way that we were able to prioritize our group. So there's 1,700 students. We took a look, we ran a full report, and we saw the students who had the most amount of credits. And then we went ahead and did the transcript evaluations. There were students that had close to 60 credits. Then we had students that had 0 credits. We categorized them by the anticipated graduation term. So students that had 1, 2, 3, or 4 more classes to graduate, we would put them in the anticipated graduation for the next semester. If students had 5, 6, 7, or 8 more classes, we put them in the 2 semester, in an anticipated graduation term, maybe the next semester for the spring. We also did proactive outreach to students to complete educational plans with the goal to complete the program by the end of the year. So at this point, we were working with the 2012 cohort, and they had just the fall, spring, and summer semesters to graduate on time. And before we met with the students, we had already done the thorough transcript evaluations. Again, Ms. Royals had said earlier, we took a look at their curriculum, we identified the courses that they needed to graduate, we planned out which classes and which semester they should take it. And we also took a look at the catalog year change. So a student that came in 2012 may have had to meet the requirement of 66 credits. And with the curriculum new catalog update, it was a 60 credit program. So by just simply updating your catalog to the current year, they saved 6 credits. They took 2 credits less, and that's one step closer to graduation. Yes?
How do you change a student's entrance date based on their catalog?
We don't, when we change their catalog year, we don't change their entrance date. Their entrance date remains the same.
Okay, so maybe I should ask it the other way. When you come in as, say you come in 2009, and that's your catalog year, and that's your curriculum guide, how do you now put a student in 2011 curriculum guide?
Because within our catalog, we're permitted to change students from one catalog year to another. Yeah.
It's in the best interest of the student because the curriculum committee every year at our institution makes updates to the curriculum so that it helps the student for transferability reasons. So what they do every year is that they work really hard and take a look at the 4-year schools, and they make the comparison to see what are the best gen ed courses for our program and that will transfer best to the 4-year institution.
You said that 6 credits could be eliminated from one of the new programs. So what if one of those classes was no longer in the new catalog? How would you handle, the substitution and so forth?
And we take full consideration. So we take a look to see whether or not it benefits the student. And in some cases, if it doesn't benefit the student at all, we wouldn't go ahead and update the catalog. But if it did, we would go ahead and do that. Did that answer the question? So we would only change the catalog if we know that it benefits the student. So if the student had already taken those classes and they only have one additional course in their old catalog, they would just take that one course. Whereas if they hadn't taken that,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, if they hadn't taken the course, then we can update them and they can still graduate sooner.
And this whole process is a conversation that we're having with the student right next to us. If we keep you in this catalog, these are all the degree requirements you've met, and this is what's left for you to take. If we change you to this catalog, this is what will happen. So it's something that we discuss with the student. The student says, okay, this is the direction I want to go. So this is just kind of to recap the model that we built. So our plan for working with these students is obviously proactive advising. We take that very seriously, and we get the students in very early to get them their educational plan so they can map out what they need to do for their 4 semesters with us. The group is singularly focused on graduation, and I can't emphasize that enough. Everything that they do, they are talking about graduation with the students. They're looking at ways a student can get to graduation. They're encouraging them to get to graduation. It's all about graduation. We also do continual tracking, and we're going to get into that later on in our presentation, but the tracking is actually what keeps us focused, I think, and keeps us focused on what are all the different initiatives that we're working on and where we need to do our work at that time. And it's very strategic. Outreach. Tini's going to get into some outreach later on, but outreach is super, super important. Not only outreach to students in any manner that we can get to them, but also faculty outreach. And we get to the academic deans, and we get to the financial aid office, any kind of outreach. So, and that kind of jumps to our collaboration with academic affairs. So we work very closely with academic affairs because we want to make sure these courses that these students need to graduate are being offered. And if we see something that is going to help the student get to graduation, we're going to present that to the academic side of the house. We also collaborate with many different areas within student services. And then we collaborate with many different sub-cohort groups. So we have, sitting over here, some of our LEAP advisors. I don't know if we have STEM. I don't think we have STEM here. But we have a LEAP program, we have a STEM program, we have an EOF program, we have an honors program, and we work very closely with all those different sub-cohorts so that we are doing the same thing and we're communicating. And foundation assistance, which we talked about.
So when we talk about proactive advising, our model here is individualized, interactive, and inquisitive. We always start with the transcript evaluation to see where the student is at this point. But when we meet with the student, we meet one-on-one, face-to-face, and we have a conversation. It's a good conversation that we want to get the most information from them. We want to know where they are in terms of their academics. We want to know where they are in their lives. What are their career goals? Where do they want to transfer to? What can we do to help you become successful? What do you need? Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? When do you like your classes? Do you drive to school? Do you rely on public transportation? So we get the complete picture, and that's why we work on a one-on-one individualized basis, and we ask a lot of questions to get the full picture of the student. And when we're meeting with the student, we explore the benefits of program updates. We do reevaluations of desired academic programs. We sit down with them and we ask them, is this what you really want to do? Well, I'm not really sure, but my mom told me that I should become a nurse because there's a job afterwards. We have that conversation. Students come in, they're like, I'm not really sure what I want to do. Or, I like numbers, but I really want to be a teacher. We don't know what to do. We don't have a perfect formula. So we have to sit down with the student and really ask them what they want. And I think we get a much clearer picture when we do. And because we've done the transcript evaluations already, when we meet with the student, we're doing the educational plan, and we're telling them exactly what they need to get to where they go. We've mapped it out even down to this semester. We say, take the math now, take the science now, so that just in case, if math is not your strong point, you can retake it in the spring. More on proactive advising.
I just want to add that Tinny has a term for some of our students who avoid math, and she calls them the math dodgers. So we're trying to correct that.
We're trying to fix that.
Yeah. But we do come up with terms for a lot of things.
Yes. We started priority registration for cohort students. We invited our cohort students to register for fall, spring, and summer courses 2 weeks earlier than everyone else. We assisted with creating an optimal schedule. Again, are you a morning person or are you a night person? When does your brain wake up? When are you most active? And we figured out an ideal schedule that suits them. We identified curricular requirements for students nearing graduation for enrollment management purposes. I think we covered that before. Again, as we found the courses that are necessary for students to graduate, we wanted to make sure we did everything that we could to run those courses. We also coordinated with different cohort programs. Again, LEAP is here. We worked with American Honors Groups, EOF, and it was really good for us to have that contact, because if I couldn't reach a student, maybe Gretchen from LEAP could reach the student, and we communicate after either she meets with them or I meet with them. And again, it's really good for all of us to communicate. So in terms of student outreach, it's personal, it's persistent, and it's prescriptive. We're all about face-to-face meetings. That initial meeting, we put a face to the name. We can call them afterwards because they know who we are, but it's really important for us to say, hey, Dave, it's good to see you. You know what they look like, they know what you look like, and they feel comfortable coming into our offices and asking questions. We want them to come back and ask us questions, because the more questions they ask, the more correct answers that they'll get. We don't want them figuring it out and just doing all the guessing and just hoping that it's correct. We make referrals to tutoring and other services when appropriate. We utilize the phone, we email, and we text our students. We'll call you in the morning, and if you don't answer, we'll call you in the afternoon, and we'll call you at night. We'll email, we'll text, and if we don't find you, we will go to your classroom. We will wait there, and if you're not in one class, we'll go to another class. It sounds stalkerish, but it really is in the best interest of the student. Why haven't you submitted your graduation application? Oh, I forgot. I printed it out. Timmy, sign it. I'll walk it over. And this is the type of things that we do, right? And it's really easy, at least for me. It's easy for me to do it because I believe in the message. I honestly believe that I'm doing the right thing.
How many people were on your project graduation team?
So in the first summer when we did it, I think it was like about 12, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
But now we have a team of 4.
Okay, very good. And another question, just going back to something
Oh,
you
actually,
said.
we just added a 5th. I'm sorry. We
So you
have
have
5.
a team
Yeah.
of 5. So when you did your look back for your cohort, you said if you were 1 or 2 short and you did the catalog review, did you find that you had students who could have in fact graduated?
We did.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to add on the student outreach, just a little story. So yesterday, Tinny and I were meeting with our vice president, and a student comes into the office looking for the vice president's assistant. And we kind of look out, we're like, who's that student, who's that student? So I go out and say hello to him. His name is Andrew Simpson, and he's here to see somebody else. And Tinny immediately jumps up, we need him, we need him. So she goes out and knows, like based on information that we had actually in front of us, that this student was having difficulty in his Chinese class. He was passing the class, but he wasn't handing in the homework assignments, I think.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
So I asked him, Andrew, when do you have class? Oh, 2 o'clock. It was what, 10:30, 11 o'clock? So what are you doing between now and 2 o'clock? I'm just going to chill in the Commons. Oh, Andrew, you're going to chill in the Commons? Our notes say that you're missing Chinese assignments. So wouldn't it be a better idea if you went to the ALC, that's the Academic Learning Center, that's our tutoring center at Union County College? Right, wouldn't it make more sense for you to go to tutoring and get that work done? He's like, yeah, I guess so. I said, Andrew, I'm going to go into the office, I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm going to call Jose Paez, who's the director of the ALC. I'm going to tell him you're coming. He's expecting you. I'm going to tell him Andrew S. is coming, and you're going to sit down and do your Chinese assignments. So he's expecting you. So I'm going to call him. Are you okay with that? He says, yes. I pick up the phone. I call Jose. I said, listen, I have a student. He's a cohort student. He's really important. He needs to graduate. He needs to pass his spring classes, and he's already registered for his 2 final summer courses. He just has to pass that Chinese course. Right, he needs to pass that course and then and pass his summer classes, and he's going to get to the finish line. Can we help him? He says, absolutely. He gets over there, and then we finish our meeting. But I follow up. I do email Jose, and I said, Jose, did he show up? He said he did show up. And we actually have a Chinese tutor, but not available at that time. So Jose did sit him down, helped him, had him study, and then gave him the hours for our Chinese tutor for a later date. We also have a pretty aggressive outreach with faculty members as well. We request progress updates on our cohort students that are in their last 1 or 2 semesters of graduating. And we ask them, how are they doing in the class? Do they have any academic difficulties? Are they going to class? Are there any issues that we can look into to help the student, again, graduate and complete successfully? If a faculty member recommends tutor, we go ahead and strongly recommend it. We visit faculty in class to obtain progress updates. So we send an email asking for an update. If the instructor does not respond, we go ahead and actually go to the classroom, just like we do with the students, and we cross-list faculty and cohort students. We'll bring the list. We'll say, Dr. Asani, I know you're very busy, but do you have a moment, right, to take a look and see, is Brian doing well in this class? And we hope that she says yes. As a courtesy to the faculty members, though, we do try our very best to go visit them in their office hours first. And then if we don't see them in their office hours or we just miss them, we go ahead, we try to go maybe 5-10 minutes before class and ask really quickly.
And just a note on the student outreach, when the student outreach is done, we try to go for positive reasons and also for reasons when we are tracking down the student. So we try to go and make them feel good when they're there as well, but then we also are going to find them if they're not doing well in class. Okay, so now we're going to get into our tracking. So we do track all of these students and we track them in an Excel spreadsheet that we share with the group and some other people. And this tracking is very important because it really keeps us focused on the work that we need to do, and we can be strategic in the work that we do. And some of the things that we track on these spreadsheets, and we're going to show you some examples of them, is the student's academic program, their credits earned, what they're currently enrolled in, any transfer credits that may be part of their record. And I can't emphasize this enough, but we keep notes on every single interaction that we have with the student. So if the student comes in and meets with Marie on one day, and she says to them, this is what I want you to do, and then they come back and meet with Jamie on the next day, Jamie can go back and look at the notes and say, okay, well, you had this conversation with Marie last week. Did you go to the ALC and get tutoring in your math class? And then this tracking that we do, we reevaluate it after every semester. So the semester ends, we get new information, and we populate the spreadsheet, and then reevaluate every single student at that time.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, yes. We should add that this is a lot of work. And some of it can be very tedious, but as we said, our focus is singularly on graduation, so it's important to us. So these are some of the additional reports that we use. One we call a dashboard. We have it for different cohort years. We have a watch list report. We have a registration activity report, and we also provided our reverse transfer report. So I should add that the team, the Operation Graduation team, currently works with 2 cohort years. So right now they're working with the 2013 cohort and the 2014 cohort. And over the summer, the 2015 cohort will then become there. So at any given time, they're always working with two groups. So this is a sample of the dashboard that we use. Tini, you want to take them?
Sure. We created the dashboard to help,
Can you see?
I guess, track our progress numerically. So it's really hard to see if you're in the back. We start off with the cohort year and what our goal is. We identify the number of students in the cohort. And what we do is there's three main areas that are highlighted in green. It says graduated, probable, and not probable. Students that have already graduated, we put them into the graduation term. So if they graduated in spring 2014, fall 2014, spring 2015, summer 2015, and fall 2015. So this sample dashboard was for our 2013 cohort. Then we have the number of students that graduated. Now the most important part of the section, this is the probable section. So we're looking at how many probable spring graduates from 2016 do we have, and how many probable summer 2016 graduates do we have. So those are our primary areas of focus. Those are our students that are most likely to graduate. And we've gone through the evaluations, we've tracked them, we know their progress in their classes. So that's our key area in the dashboard. And then on the bottom here, we have not in time enrolled, and we have them sorted out by number of credits. Students that have 0 credits, students that have less than 15, less than 30, or 30 or more credits. And in the last section, we have not in time, not enrolled. So these are students that are no longer enrolled. And again, we have them sorted by 0 credits, less than 15 credits, less than 30, and then 30 plus credits. So it gives us an overview numerically where students are in this cohort. Likely to graduate, not likely to graduate. And the numbers, based on how many credits, it's how likely they are to graduate. If a student after 3 years has 0 credits, they're not likely to graduate in time, right?
And just before you move, so in all of these different categories, so they are, Tini had mentioned that we really focus on the probable category, but the not in time enrolled and the not in time not enrolled, they don't go away. We still do outreach with them and focus on them and have discussions with them. But the probable ones are the ones that are the primary focus. But the other ones is we don't put them into those categories and not look at them ever again. We look at them all the time, as these guys can attest to. So this is a sample of our watch list. So these are students that are not successful in their courses. And we code, so on the left are the codes which say soft red and hard red. So those really are like, yeah, we also call them yellow and red. So if it's a red student, that means they're not passing their course when we need to do some serious outreach with them. And so that's the student is going to get a visit to their classroom, and probably the faculty member will get a visit as well, so we can find out if they've made any progress. And then the soft reds are ones that we think will pass, so they're not as in jeopardy.
Right. So the watch list, this is actually an internal report that we do not share with students, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Right. In the beginning of the semester, we run and we identify all of the students that are probable graduates. We put all their classes in their sections, their faculty members for the classes, and the faculty email addresses. And that's when we send out the progress note request. We ask the professors for their feedback. As we get the feedback, we create this watch list. The watch list is the students that we're looking, that we know that are in trouble. Again, hard reds, soft reds, internal terms. This semester, actually, we received another great collaborative effort from the academic affairs side of the house. Dr. Lown and her team of division deans, they actually got their hands right into this outreach initiative. The deans themselves, Dr. Donovan, went to classroom visits and found students and recommended tutoring, correct? And set them up with tutoring, right?
Yes.
So this is really, really a college-wide initiative. We got the deans involved this semester, right? And again, they helped us with the watch list.
Do students have the option to opt out?
Of this intensive advising?
You know, if there is, if there is the feeling of, I don't know that I don't want you to come into my class, or how does that work?
Sensitive.
So in our repository, it says, student does not want to be called. Do not call them ever again. We'll have those notes. When we do the classroom visits, it's a very soft, we don't want to come across ever as punitive. And actually, when we go into the classrooms, we introduce ourselves. We say, hi, my name is Tini, I'm from Operation Graduation. I wanted to speak to one of your students about graduation. Because it really is about graduating, because we're not pulling them out to give them a lecture. We're really saying, hey, you're really close. Let's help you get there. How can we help you? Yes.
Hi. Are you concerned about setting students up for failure when they move on to the next step because it's kind of like a little bit of hand-holding, and we're trying to empower students to kind of take on their own responsibility with this?
So I think every step of the way, we are trying to be partners with students, and they're making the decisions along the way. We're just there to give them information. And so I think that we are setting the stage, hopefully, for them to be successful in their next college experience, because then they're going to know what it's going to take to get to graduation. So they're going to remember that, okay, you know what, I'm not doing well in this class, maybe I need to go find tutoring. Or I'm not quite sure what I'm going to take next semester, let me figure out and sit down and figure out what I need to take. So hopefully what we're imparting to them is this structure that they get when they're with us that they can then take with them.
Hi. So you're doing a lot of one-on-one work with all these students. As you're doing this, are you identifying any broad trends within the college that you're finding you can be able to address so as to help overall graduation rates?
I think so. I think some of what we're seeing are curricular things. So we're seeing common items within the curriculum that maybe like students are having hiccups with. So those are some of the things that we identify. What are other examples? Yeah, if we have any kind of college policy. So for example, we used to have a policy, you had to submit the graduation application for our May grad by February 1st. We have that, we state that, but we extend the deadline for that. So we do, like if things come up and we always are discussing it and seeing if there's ways that we can improve the process. Yep.
So I had a similar question. I'm a plant. No, I'm from UCC too. But obviously, the whole community, we've been doing a lot of thinking of what is, stopping graduation. So, and I'm especially actually interested in those not probables, right? Those who have perhaps stopped enrolling, or they had 15 credits, and then you reach out to them. Are you getting any sense or any data about, are there external factors that perhaps, I started to work 80 hours a week,
yeah.
Or, my girlfriend had a baby and I have to, are we hearing that? And if you are hearing that, is there anything the college is starting to do to address those external issues that may be blocking students from graduation?
So I think at this point, we certainly are hearing all of those things. There are all these outside issues that come into play that may prevent the student from making progress in their degree. We are not at this point tracking that information, and maybe that's something we do need to look at. Is there a reason why they're stopping or they're going to part-time, and maybe we should start tracking that, but we're not doing that yet. But that's a good suggestion.
So I guess the extension of that comment, were you finding that students in the initial cohorts were graduating, just not on time? And then I have a second follow-up to that, too.
So I think a lot of them were they ceased enrolling, so they were no longer enrolled, despite us trying to reach out to them. And maybe they transferred to another school, or maybe they just were working full-time.
But so I guess, was it the 6%, the 10%, whatever the current number is, the other 90%, were you finding that they were not enrolled somewhere else, or still enrolled but never going to do it within the 3 years?
Yes, I mean, I think it's all of those, right?
But
Wouldn't you
I
say?
get-
They were mostly not in time, not enrolled. And you'll see the majority of them between.
Oh, sorry. Here, Timmy.
We found that the majority of the students that were not probable were not in time, not enrolled. Probably between the 0, less than 15, and less than 30 credit group.
So, and I think, I was just going to add that we do have students that look like on paper they have enough credits to graduate, but we know based on their major they're not going to make it. So there is, but that's a small number. I mean, at this point, I think it's a little over 100. Yeah.
Yes, could you talk a little bit about how you use the foundation? What kinds of monies did they come forward with? Did you have an open checkbook? And what was the
That would
best?
be nice.
What was the best use of that money?
So in conversations with students, when it appeared that finances were the barrier to getting them to take that last summer course, then we reached out to our financial aid office and tried to match them up with a scholarship that we had that would meet the students' criteria. So we had some unrestricted funds that we could give to those students. But we go through it kind of quickly. So at this point, we've awarded all of our scholarship money for this summer, and so we're trying to figure out ways to come up with new funds. So it's definitely not an open checkbook. It would be very nice if it was.
And because our students are first-time, full-time, our students typically receive financial aid. So if they're enrolled full-time in the fall, full-time in the spring, they don't have that extra financial aid or money to take classes in the summer. So what we do is we ask for scholarship assistance, and maybe we can help pay for one class or half of it. So just to alleviate or take away some of the burden, the financial burden for the student if they're taking one class or 2 classes in the summertime.
So I think that's kind of our strategy. Okay, the course is going to cost you $550. If we pay half, do you think you can come up with the other half? And usually that gets them there.
Hi. What happens when you're counseling a student and they really want to change their major, but you know they can graduate a lot faster if they don't? Do you ever feel caught in a situation like that?
No.
We always give our students the options. I mean, it's our responsibility as student advocates to give them all of their choices. We say, this is your best option to go, this is your quickest option, these are all the options. So again, at the end of the day, I always say, do you talk to your mom or dad about this? Do you have a mentor? Is there somebody at church that, you could bounce this off? Just go home and think about it. This is the information. Come back. If you want to bring mom in next week, we'll sit down with him. We'll make her a cup of coffee, and we'll discuss this together.
This is another report that we use. It's a registration report that we actually get on a daily basis that shows all the activity from the previous day. So courses that students add, they drop, they withdraw from. And so we work this pretty intensely to make sure if they're registering for the right courses. Because our students can go and register independently, and they can register online for the courses that they want. So we make sure they're registered for the right courses. And if they've dropped a course, we want to know that. So we're going to record that in our information, and then we're going to outreach to the student. And if for some reason they're registered for the wrong course, we'll also do that outreach with them.
We have another OG term. It's called going rogue. So when students drop a class, they add a class that's totally not related to their major, we catch it the next day, and we call them in, and we go to their class, and we say, what happened here? Right, they go rogue. It's our job, again, to pull them back and get them back on track. And this is a very useful tool for us every day. Again, it's the registrar activity, so it's add, drops, withdrawals, and we also have program change as well. If they go and change their program, we know about it the next day.
You can just talk.
Oh, and this is also something that we receive from institutional research. It's a reverse transfer report. At the end of every semester, we get from institutional research a list of students that have transferred out of our institution, and it also identifies where they went. And students who have earned 30 credits or more at Union County College, and soon to be 24 credits, 30 credits, 24 credits, if they go to another institution and they take the required courses that still meet our program requirements, they can transfer them back, and we can graduate them as reverse transfer candidates. So a student that has 56 credits and is dead set on going to Kane University, they go to Kane. If they take a lab science and that was the last class they were missing to meet our requirements, they can transfer back that one lab science that meets that meets the requirement of 60 credits, and we can grant them a Union County College associate's degree.
Did you have this reverse transfer credit before you start your cohort for the other years of?
So when they were in high school, they took college credit?
I'm asking about the other, like 2010, for example. Did you also apply reverse transfer credit for that cohort?
Oh, so going back historically, we did not.
So that maybe give you this 2% difference.
No, this was like 5 students, 10 students. But again, like it just goes back to show that we really work every single student. But the number that we get this way is I think it was 10 students last year, maybe 12 students, a very small number. And this year we're looking at possibly 5. Yeah.
Curious as to the participation rates with the transfers, because when we've reached out to students who have left premature, some have straight up responded, we don't want an associate's degree, don't ever contact us ever again.
That.
They've had
this,
they've satisfied the degree requirements and don't ever call me again. So I don't know if that's I'm assuming it's similar, but what if you had the numbers as to eligible, and then how many said, yeah, sign me up, and how many said, leave me alone?
With the 2012 cohort, I believe we finished with about 8 reverse transfers. Did anybody say, no, thank you, I met the requirements? Maybe 1. We ended up sending letters home. The student may say no, but mom and dad say yes. So we send a letter home. And even though it's addressed to the child, mom and dad opens that letter. And if mom and dad see that they qualify for an associate's degree, why not? They come in.
So I know Union County College has several locations, so how does this model work at the other locations, and do you have separate teams at those locations who are doing or participating in these same initiatives?
So we do have 3 locations. We primarily work out of the one campus, Cranford campus, but we do have someone who works on the Elizabeth campus for us. The Plainfield campus is our smallest campus, so we don't find, so if we had a student that would only go to Plainfield, we would go there to them. But we don't find that's an issue. But we, all along the way, if we can remove any kind of obstacle for the student, we're going to make that happen. So we'll go to Elizabeth for them, we'll go to Plainfield, or wherever we can meet with them. But I think that goes back to the teamwork. Like, it really is a team, and everyone works very, very closely. And so part of that is all being in the same physical proximity as well.
Hi. Now that you have an actual team set up, which is most likely the hardest part, is getting your positions and doing this, has there been any thought and consideration to starting with the cohort the year that you're in, instead of looking at 2 years back? So now you've lost 2 years of doing this intensive advisement, and now you're trying to rush them in with a year, as opposed to doing this initiative with the first-time cohort of the year that you're already in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as I think I said before, so this group is working on 2 years. And then the current year, the 2015 cohort, we're also trying to mirror the same sort of proactive advising with that group as well. It's just not under the same auspices of Operation Graduation. But yeah, that's a great point. We just want to go back and reiterate a couple of things. So we do have a current team. We have 3 advisors on here, but we actually just added a 4th one and a coordinator. So these are things that show that our entire college is focused and committed to this, to graduation rates and to these students. We instituted 2 years ago mandatory new student orientation. So it's required for full-time enrollment. So that was brand new for us. And we are continuing with that, and we think that supports this effort. We also had a cultural shift at our institution where we advise students to take 15 credits. So we used to just say, okay, you can take your 12 credits so that you can keep working full-time. But now we really stress that we want them to take 15 credits so they can make it through in 4 semesters. And then we also instituted block rate tuition, which students will pay one rate if they take 12 to 18 credits. So no matter how many credits they're taking, they're paying that one rate. So when we talk to them, we say, you know what, you're paying this single cost, and you're enrolled in 12 credits, do you think you can handle another course? Because it's not going to increase the financial burden on you. And then we focus on providing clear program maps for students. That's another thing that we do, and we work with our academic departments to make sure those are very good and comprehensive for our students.
Do you have an academic software that you use?
We use Excel. Oh, so we run business reports through, we use Colleague, and so we have business reports that we run through Colleague. But all the data that we track, it all gets stored in Excel, just plain old-fashioned Excel.
Okay.
Can you talk really quickly about what your new student orientation model is like right now?
Yes, so it's, and this is something we're talking about and trying to figure out the best way to do this, but it's really more of a registration session. So students come in and, again, if they want to be full-time, they're required to come to one of these sessions. And we do icebreakers, we do a welcome, we do an icebreakers, we show students how to use our system, how to get their email, you know, all that stuff. We review their placement information, and then we actually register the student when they're with us. It's like 3 hours, right? Like 3 hours. So we are looking to make some modifications this summer. We're gonna try out some academic program-specific orientations to see how they go. But our focus really is on getting them registered during that session.
Just to follow up on orientation,
yes.
How many students do you cap attendance? Do you have a number that you try and keep each session to?
Usually 24, right?
Okay. So you run smaller groups?
I don't know how many we hold them on all of our campuses, and I don't know, hundreds? Like we have them all summer long. So we do keep them fairly small.
I was just wondering if you had good buy-in on academic affairs side with all the professors, full-time adjuncts.
You want me to talk to it?
I can talk to it.
Okay.
At first, I think we got a little bit, right? We had it, it was all right. When they meet us, when we go to their office hours and we introduce ourselves and we explain the importance of what we're actually doing, the reason we're coming and we're asking you for this is because we want to help them. And when we have that conversation, everything is fine. We've done over 40 faculty visits, and we may have had maybe one or two that were a little bit, you know, not the most friendly, but that's with everything. You can't win everybody. But again, I think the faculty members, they're on the same page. They all want to help students. We all want them to do well. And when we have that conversation, it kind of de-arms or de-escalates that situation. It's not we're harassing them to get the information. We really want the information so that we can help your student pass your class.
My name is Helen Brewer. I'm the Vice President of Student Development at Union County College. And I do want to share a couple of things with regard to the question about the faculty. It's not just the faculty, it's the institution as a whole. A couple of years ago, and 2 years ago actually, when we started this, this was on the heels of what Dr. McMenamin had already instituted as our institutional goals. And so our graduation rate is part of our key performance indicators and assessment. It's part of everything that we're doing in terms of curriculum. So as we call other offices and people start to hear certain terms like cohort this and cohort that, initially, when we would make these calls, people would be like, what are you talking about? What group of students is that? But as this has really become infused into our culture at the institution, people know what a lot of these terms mean. Almost everyone at the institution will know our 3-year graduation rate, just like that. So it's part of what we have infused as a culture, but this is a different way of approaching things. And I come from a background in student affairs in terms of the very traditional way, let students make their mistakes, you know, let them grow. But this is a different way of looking at things because at the end of the day, look at how many students didn't graduate. Out of 100, 94 did not graduate. Only 6 walks across the finish line with a degree. And in terms of when we look at students who didn't graduate within the 3 years, if you look at our 4-year, 5-year graduation rate, the number isn't that much better. So what do we owe the student? You know, I'd rather get yelled at that maybe I helped a student a little bit too much, but they walked away with a credential, as opposed to where I let them figure it out, and they walked away with absolutely nothing. So I don't want to get into a debate about that, but it's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of approaching the way we're going to do this. And I feel better the fact that I know that at least we're increasing the number of students who walk away with an actual credential, and it'll help them in their lives long term.
So anyway, this is our final slide, as you all can see. So we went from a 6.8% graduation rate in 2013. The following year, we got it, when we first formed this group, we got it to 10.2, and this past year, we got it to 15.7. So, yeah, yay! We're very excited about it. I think that's it, right? Oh, and here's our contact information if anyone wants to reach out to us, or feel free to come up and talk to us afterwards. Yeah, we got a question in the back.
I sort of have an organizational chart question. So you guys have 4 advisors now and a coordinator. What's their reporting structure? Do they live in student affairs? Do they live in academic affairs? Do you live in a totally separate place so that you can work with each? So how do you guys fit organizationally?
So they are definitely part of what is student affairs. We call it student development. But they do work independently. So they are their own area, but they are very much part of student development. Thank you.